All right, y'all. What's really good, my peoples? Let's talk.
Fuck I'm doing in parties with
Over and Steve Stoute.
Mics and tape recorders
all up in his ass.
Speaking of police, I found an inner
You should know these records, man.
What I saw was dope. I saw a new nigga sitting behind a big desk with a big head and a big chest and a big belly, talking on a celly, hating real players, cutting niggas' throats like he was trying to be the mayor. Then some niggas rushed in, punched him in his mouth, threw him down on the floor and started stomping him out, screaming, "Fuck Steve Stoute, serve street justice." Crying on the floor with your lip all busted. You went out like a pussy. Fuck the dough you got, cause with all that money, nigga, you still can't buy a heart.
Only gangsters play the word out. I'm still around to bring. Whenever I think of Steve Stoute, I always remember Industry Shakedown. Shout out to Freddie Fox. Okay, all right. Now, Steve Stoute made some comments on Joe Biden's podcast. It's got the internet buzzing a little bit, at least among the heads. This is going to be a long one, okay, because I do want to cover a few things here. Let's look at what Steve Stoute actually said. And I think he does say some interesting, well, he said things that, I mean, honestly, I've said this before anyway. So let's just see what Steve Stoute has to say.
About lyrics. And they're like, yo, you know, nobody cares about lyrics anymore and all this other shit. And I was thinking, you know, it's so funny. It's so easy for an older generation to talk like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Old folks, you know, stay lying, respectfully.
They weren't giving a fuck about lyrics when they announced put out Illmatic. That's why it took 5 years to go gold. They wasn't giving a fuck about lyrics when fucking Young MC didn't take that long to go gold. Or like they were buying that shit.
There's always been trash music, and there's always been
Reasonable Doubt took a long time to go off. Look at Reasonable Doubt's first week.
But Illmatic didn't have a funky Cole Medina.
Huh?
No, MTV was pushing that shit.
Yeah, all that type of shit. My only point is that you may like lyrics and all that other kind of stuff, and it may be something that you love, but does it make you buy it?
It's a good question. It's the number one question, actually, in the grand scheme of things. From at least from obviously from a label perspective. That's what the label cares about. Those who make music for a living, right, and sell it, obviously it has to be sellable.
You know what I'm saying? And you can't look at generations and go, like this new generation, they don't give a fuck about lyrics. You weren't rewarding niggas who's making lyrics back then.
Now, I've been said this. One of the things that I think older folk don't need to understand, and I've said this about the new generation, and I figured this out in the 2000s. Clearly, people give less of a fuck about lyrics even back then. And I realized, oh, these guys don't care about lyrics. Once I was able to make that mental shift, I was able to actually relax a little bit and then listen to what people were doing stylistically. Like I said, I love A$AP Rocky. A$AP Rocky ain't got rhymes like that. And I say that with all due respect to A$AP Rocky. None of these new niggas have rhymes like that. Drake don't got rhymes like that. Let's be fucking honest. Drake's rhymes are aight, but they're not on the level of anything that I would go like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I come from a certain time period and certain era, and I was listening to underground and mainstream stuff. So I've heard all kinds of rhymes. Drake is nowhere near that. Okay? So, but my point is, I was never, anyways, I as much as I like lyrics, I understood fairly early that it's a music thing. The whole thing has to come together. Otherwise, what's the point? My point is, this new era don't care about lyrics. In a way, they're actually more honest, I think, than some of the people in the 2000s who pretended to care about lyrics, but clearly don't care about lyrics, right? At least the new era is like, they figured it out. They know, oh, motherfuckers don't care about lyrics, so I'm going to just say whatever I want. Skip, slap, yeet, slap. You know what I'm saying? As long as the shit sound fly, I'm winning. And that's the truth.
Good point.
G Rap didn't get rewarded.
He damn sure did.
I mean, what the fuck you, like, that's why they do all that other shit.
I'm going to come back to the G Rap thing.
Because you're not rewarding it. You want it, you say it in your heart. That's why Jay said on the album, you want to buy my old shit, buy my old albums.
that line was always hard. Buy my old shit, right? I think was it on to the next one that he said that? I always thought that was the hardest record anyways on Blueprint 3. But the point is that, look, human beings work on the reward system at the end of the day. Okay? Most people do things because there's a reward to it. And I'm not saying it's not a cynical way of looking at life, but the truth of the matter is think of common sense, right? Reward shows that was the right thing to do or the smart thing to do or whatever. So if you're doing stuff and you're not getting a reward for it, what's the point of doing it? That's how a lot of people think. Now, of course, some of us are going to say, well, the immediate reward doesn't work. Maybe the long-term reward is what I'm looking at. And so, okay, I can put in hours and years into this thing, and then long-term I'm going to get my reward. But the fact of the matter is, if you never get your reward, right? If you do things, right, that are of great sacrifice and time and effort, and you never get a reward, right? Clearly it means that it's not really of value to the people around you. Right? That's just a fact of the matter.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to hit me go forward? I'm buy my own shit then if I'm rapping in a way you don't like. Because you weren't fucking there anyway. And people have bad memory on that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Look, listen, when Jay dropped Reasonable Doubt, I wasn't around. I heard Reasonable Doubt probably in like 97. So yeah, maybe like a year later or something like that, you know, but the truth of the matter is, I didn't really care for Reasonable Doubt, to be honest with you. I still don't. Like, I think it's shout out to Jay. I think it was dope for what it was, in a sense, you know what I'm saying? Like, obviously, the rhymes are there. Some of the beats are dope, of course, but it's not, like I've always said this, and I made a video about my favorite Jay, and I think when Jay took over was Volume 2. Right, I was there. I was in Saudi, but I was there because certain things were just so huge. You know what I'm saying? Like Volume 2 era, Can I Get A? That's when it was like, whoa, who is this? This is Jay, right? And there were trickles of it that started. Obviously, 1,000,001 Questions, which I loved, came like, but it was around the same time. Like Jay was pretty consistent with the output. So you're talking like 1,000,001 Questions was like 97 into 98, right? 98 Primo remix, and ain't shit different, right? So the point is that I wasn't there in terms of like listening to rap heavy as a sort of informed consumer in '96. No, not at all. So I wasn't there either, you know. Anyway, so that's what Steve Stoute said. Now, I think the whole thing with Illmatic not going, you know, platinum or gold at that time, I understand that the bootlegging was a big thing. So that was one of the things, but I also kind of agree with Steve Stoute that something that pure and that hip-hop and that raw was probably never going to hit Billboard like that anyway, right? I mean, there was no radio-friendly songs on Illmatic, which is what makes Illmatic incredible. And then again, radio-friendly for that time, if you understand what I'm saying. They just made the greatest music they could possibly think of, and they weren't thinking about, well, it's just going to get played, and you know, in a mix with, I don't know, Gangsta's Paradise. They weren't thinking that shit. They were just like, let's just make the dopest shit we could possibly make, right? And that's why Illmatic is obviously one of the greatest rap albums of all time. Now, I want to go from here. I'm going to move because they've got a lot to cover here. But I do think, obviously, we're talking about these old folks lying. Let me go to a Drink Champs interview that I actually think is one of the most honest things that I've ever seen on Drink Champs. And this is from Bert Kreischer, who I don't know. This clip came up. I was on Facebook one day, and this clip came up, and I was like, this part of the interview came up, and I was like, wow, like, this is the most honest shit I've heard from somebody. Now, Bert is a casual. I would consider him a casual, but he's like a lot of people. Most people are casuals. Even the people who pretend to be heads are casuals. A lot of them are. And my point is, Nori asks him, which do you prefer, Biggie or Nas? And let's check out his explanation, right? Get to grab some popcorn. It's a really good one, actually.
Okay, so Nas or Biggie Smalls?
Biggie Smalls. I gotta be honest with you, okay? So like, this is not gonna sound really great, but like, Biggie was super accessible to all of us in college.
Yeah, he's right. So let me say, when I first heard Biggie, I was in Saudi, and my, I want to say I was in Saudi, yeah, maybe like 98. I want to say 97, 98. The years run together. But the point is, it was actually my Palestinian friend in school, my Palestinian Arab, I should say. And we bonded because we were really the only people that actually kind of listened to rap in this entire school, actually, at that time especially. And so he played me Hypnotized, and I remember just thinking like, this is like I always had I think I've always had a bit of a rebellious streak to me anyways, and it felt radio-y. I obviously love Hypnotize now, and I respect it for what it is. But it wasn't until I heard Kick in the Door. That's when I was like, ooh, I like Big. And then obviously Unbelievable. I went back, and that's how I liked Big. But when I heard the Hypnotize the first time, I was like, this shit sucks. Like, and, you know, the Big Pop, and I was like, this is all like radio champagne. I didn't get it. But the truth of the matter is that shit was accessible, okay, for a lot of people, right? Like, that's what people want to hear. That aspirational, simple shit, respectfully. And obviously I love Big, but he's right on the money here.
Like, it was just super accessible. We got it. His first album, I'm not speaking for all frat boy white dudes, but was like not the one we got. But when Puffy collaborated with him and like really that next one that happened in like...
You talking about Biggie? Yeah, well, Puffy's
right. So he's basically saying Life After Death is when he got into Biggie, right? As a frat boy, casual, and there was a fair amount of these actually, which makes total sense, right? Like, can you really picture like a frat boy listening to Unbelievable and being like, live from Bedford-Stuyvesant, son, the livest one, representing BK to full? Like, that's not. It's too hard for them. Okay, they want to just, you know, party and, you know, get drunk and shit, right? That's a lot of people. They want music that's, you know, in the background almost as they live their life. That's how most people consume music, and I think people have always. Music consumption, obviously, attitudes and the way that people consume has obviously changed. But I would argue that, again, most people, like, music is kind of in the background while they do things. It doesn't mean that they don't like music. It doesn't mean that they won't pay for it. But it is, and obviously music has been devalued. But the point is that it's still somewhat backgroundish, right? Especially now, especially over the last 20 years when music has been devalued. There is a subset of people who look at music as foreground music, where they literally will do nothing, but they'll sit down and put it on and really listen to it. But they're in the minority, I would argue. The real music lovers, they're in the minority. They're still out there, and you can make a living making music for them. Don't get me wrong. There's more music lovers than you would think, but there's also less music lovers overall.
Yeah,
no. But the second one, when you could really feel the sprinkle of him.
Okay.
Of man, Biggie was like next level for us. I didn't discover Nas until later. Do you remember he did like a documentary? Maybe he did like a thing on. I'm so sorry, Nas. I'm saying it. It's the only way I can explain it. He did a Life 360 thing with MTV, and he was on the tour bus, and he wasn't wearing a shirt a lot of the time. It's the only way I remember it. Yeah.
Is this where you got your idea to take off your shirt?
No.
Oh, Nas gave you that idea.
Nas
I'll come back to that, but what he's talking about is Nas' MTV diary. What's great about the internet is that you can pull up receipts. See, look, this is from Dubs CNN. I don't even really remember checking out this website, but the point is, you'll see this date. Look at that, March 2002. That's crazy, right? Did anyone watch this MTV Diary? Nas seemed like a real down-to-earth brother, right? So the point is that people didn't really discover Nas until like later. Nas had already, like, if you think about when someone like Bird, a casual, would have discovered Nas in a sense, it's like Nas has been in the game damn near 10 years. I mean, he did Live in the Barbecue in what, 91? 1990 or something? So Nas had already been in the game for like a decade before Bird was up on him. And the truth of the matter is, and I've said this, I didn't hear Illmatic until like 2004, 2003, 2004, around that time, because Illmatic was getting that 10-year release, right? And I heard Star Wars in the Club and was like, whoa. And, you know, that it just, you know, things connected. I had heard Nas before that, but I wasn't really following Nas too heavy, if I'm being real with you. I heard Stillmatic in real time. I heard Nostradamus somewhat in real time. But again, some of these things take a while, right? And then you get it. You're like, oh, okay. Especially when you hear Illmatic finally. But people weren't really talking about Illmatic like that. So when people are like, yo, I heard Illmatic the day it dropped and I knew it was classic, like, give me a fucking break. I'm sure there are some people that I can respect their opinion, and I know for a fact that they were around back then and they have that taste, and I'm sure there's a fair amount of people that can say that, but a fair amount of them are lying, okay? Anyway, let's continue here.
It's all about hip hop, baby.
Nas gave me the idea, but like, I didn't discover Nas until much later. I'm being honest in that Biggie was just accessible. Like it was more. I don't know. And I don't know, honestly, I don't know if it was because of the Tupac shit. Tupac was the entry. He was the gateway drug. Tupac was the gateway drug for like us in college. And then, I mean, we came late to the game to...
Not just him. A lot of people. A lot of people. I was listening to rap casually before Pac. But when Pac died, Pac's death literally brought, like, before M brought in, like, every casual under the sun, I would say. But the truth of the matter is that Pac's death was massive. Because, I mean, it was on TV, people heard about it, even people, like, I remember my mom being, like, really sad that Pac died. She had never heard a Pac song in her life. And she was just like, oh, it's unfortunate that, you know, young black man, he's a handsome cat and he had to go like that. Like, you have to understand, like, the media around Pac made Pac such a big deal, right? And brought people into the music. And this is obviously why people clout chase. And Pac was an OG clout chaser, in my opinion. But again, I might be going a little too deep and offending Pac stans, right? In the comments, who gonna angrily and shit. But the truth of the matter is this: Pac was a gateway drug, I would argue, for a fair amount of people who maybe weren't listening to rap at the time, and they maybe wanted to experiment and see, oh, okay, like, what's this rap thing about?
Snoop became late to the game to Dre was like, it's amazing if you did, like, I would love to see a documentary about how, like, white people found hip-hop. Because, like, The Chronic was like, I remember The Chronic came out and everyone's like, NWA was the game fucking changer. NWA was a game changer. NWA was a fucking game changer.
Absolutely. And I made the video about this. I believe, let me see if I can find it before people get mad at me. But let me see if I can find it on my damn channel. Because I did absolutely make a video, and I've argued this before, that NWA are the blueprint for white-focused gangster rap. And especially that is right about NWA destroying hip-hop. Here's why. West Coast reality rap and hard watered down hip hop. I suggest you take a look at those videos. If you disagree, that's totally fine. But I totally think that this is literally where that performative bullshit in rap really took place, right? And it was the precursor to the Kendricks of the world, the Eminems of the world, and all that performative shit.
Way and all of that,
right. But dude, and so in a weird way, we all love those dudes because, like, what was Ice Cube had a separate group.
Lynch Mob?
The Lynch Mob. I mean, we followed, because you ended up signing up for these guys, it's all about fandom. The way fandom works, I had someone explain this to me. I know I'm re-saying this again, but the way fandom works is I had a guy who was in Fort Lauderdale doing a show, and the guy's like, a white dude, redneck, shirtless, not that big of a guy, kind of drunk, doesn't look like a winner. Like, and he just goes, hey man, I need to explain to you.
That's a stan.
I'm a fan. And I went, okay, like going like, let's just get through this. And he goes, no, I need you to pay attention. He goes, I don't have much in my life, but I got you. I'm not a sports, I'm not an athlete, but I got you. I follow you. I love you, man. And I love when you succeed. When you succeed, it feels like I succeeded, because now I feel like I made the right decision. I picked the right guy. I love when I introduce you to people and then they go, oh, I love that guy. So dude, keep killing it, because I'll always be a fan. That's how it is with hip hop, is like when or being a fan, just being a fan in general, is you discover someone like NWA, right? And then you fall in love with all those dudes. And then you go, these are my guys. Yeah. These are my guys. They're set up to be my guys for the rest of my life. Dude, Ice Cube's been my guy forever. I watch his movies. Like Ice Cube, when they introduced Snoop to me, I go, Snoop's my guy. Eminem's my guy. Like, that's how fandom works, is like, I trust my guys to give me good guys. Right. And I will say this wholeheartedly. Joe Rogan has shared.
Okay, now you start talking about Joe Rogan. But the point is, he's absolutely right. And this, again, I would argue, this is like 60 to 70% of most rap fans. Like, I might even be underestimating it. The truth of the matter is that cosigns matter a lot for stans. So when people talk about, yo, Kendrick, he grinded from the bottom and he made it on his music, it's like, please stop. Okay, I am not born yesterday. I understand how cosigns work and how powerful cosigns are. Because at the end of the day, most people are casual, and casuals tend to be stans. They only listen to a couple of people in any given genre, and that's kind of it. They're not out here like listening to Percee P or some shit, right? They're not. Okay, there's a couple of people that they know, and they stick to those people, right? And so when that person says, hey, there's a new guy that you should pay attention to, that new guy has access to all these fans that great artist has curated over years, decades, right? By the time Kendrick comes into the picture and is signed and attached to Dr. Dre, how long has Dr. Dre, you know how many Brett Kreischers Dr. Dre has that will listen to him? Millions. So when you tell me that Kendrick really grinded from the bottom, people were like listening to his music and he was just organic, it's like, give me a fucking break. Please give me a break, okay? It doesn't take away from him rapping and putting in effort. I'm not talking about that. But this argument that the cosign isn't a massive part of what makes Kendrick, what broke Kendrick and what continues to sustain Kendrick is laughable, okay? Let's be honest here. And this is where I say, look, listen, I made a video about this a long time ago. I'm going to close that. Called Old Folks Stop Lying. Okay, you'll see me right here.
Video is Old Folks Stop.
I'm referencing myself now. This is some Inception shit. But I remember, man, I made this video. People were, some people were angry at me in the comment section, right? But anyways, you'll see old crats love to pretend they were up on the most innovative music on their day. Unique and innovative hip-hop and art in general takes a while before people get it, and that's just the truth of the matter, okay? It's no disrespect, but this is what it is, right? Now, let's talk about Kool G Rap, because, for me, when Steve Stoute talks about Kool G Rap, I think that there's a few things here that I think we have to be honest about when it comes to Kool G Rap. First of all, let me put in some Kool G Rap. Let's go. Okay, so I'll have to talk like sex instrumental because this Large Professor I think did this beat. Is there an instrumental for this? Oh no, there isn't. Whatever. Okay, but the point is this, right? Kool G Rap I think is a it's a fair comparison in a sense, fairish. I would say that Kool G Rap, I think, and I want to be respectful because I do like Kool G Rap a lot. He's obviously a great rapper. He's one of the people. He's an architect. There's a certain way that he patterned his syllables and things that literally everybody after him started doing that shit, pretty much. So he has so many copycats in the underground. It's not even funny. I'm about to talk about Percee P and even AZ and Nas to a certain extent. And I mean, like, Kool G Rap's just one of those people that influence a lot of people, technically, right? So obviously, Kool G Rap had some dope rhymes. His rhymes are great. And I even think his vocals are pretty good. He doesn't have necessarily the best rapping voice, but his rapping voice was good. It's quite good, and it's more commanding than 99% of people that ever rapped. But I think what kept Kool G Rap and held him back, in my opinion, was the beats were not so great. He has a lot of lackluster beats, and he rarely got great beats, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, Talk Like Sex is easily one of the best beats he ever rapped on. And so overall, his songs were pretty boring. Like, if we're being honest here. Like, yes, lyrically, you can look at them and be like, yo, that was a great rhyme. You know what I'm saying? And the charisma's there. But beats matter. I keep stressing this. This is why I keep saying this, because I love rap and I want to hear great rap. Beats matter. Okay? And I think Kool G Rap was a victim of bad production, all things considered, in a lot of ways. Yeah, there was a couple of songs here and there where the beats were definitely decent. I mean, we can talk about Fast Life. What's another one? I mean, Streets of New York was cool. Men at Work. Rikers Island, right? But, I mean, let's be honest here. Are those beats as good as the beats that Rakim got, right? Rakim rapped on some game-changing shit, Eric B's President. That was a game-changing ass beat. You know what I'm saying? People forget that. The game-changing flow and rhymes on a game-changing dope beat, right? Eric B's President is doper than any Kool G Rap song I've ever heard. You know what I'm saying? Partly because that beat is phenomenal, right? Microphone Fiend, right? Paid in Full. Like, Raz rapped on some dope-ass Saga Begins, right? When I Be on the Mic. Like, you gotta have these beats that make people go, oh, okay. And this is why, again, it's about crafting the song. It's not about the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Hip-hop heads show consistently that they do not care about lyrics. Because the truth of the matter is that hip-hop is a beat-driven genre. It always has been. It's a beat and vocal delivery genre. That's just the truth of the matter, man. look, at the end of the day, if lyrics were such a big deal and lyrics were the thing that made someone pop or made someone even people would check for them, you know, Percee P, for example, would be someone that people would listen to, right? And look, listen, I'm gonna play you some Percee P here. If you ever hear the song Nowhere Near Simple, it's funny. This song to me, it sounds like some Infinite shit. Like literally, if you listen to it, you're like, it's very much in that era. It's like average underground rap of this time. Not saying that Percee P is not talented and all that, but again, Eminem was making this kind of shit, right? And my point is that the people that listen to Eminem and tell me that Infinite's incredible, they don't know who Percee P is, and they'll never check for Percee P. So what does that tell me? It means that it's not about the music, it's about something else. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be honest here, okay? Let's just call it what it is. The Lord Finesse record, this is fantastic. This is from back in the day.
I got my man Rhyme Inspector Percee P in the house. Yeah. So, you know, we gonna set this off for the 90s.
Let's listen to this, right? Look.
And Forrest in the house. Let Percee get his props. Let him get his
like sulfuric acid, I'm lethal. Soon as my words reach you, they eat through brains of those that chose to speak to them wiser and smoother. Keep up or lose you when I maneuver. Words when I'm heard, I confuse you, bruise you. I'm high potent, devoting much time to run rhyme. Every line of mine is worth quoting. I'm like a college dorm. People will swarm for knowledge. Applicants chill out and feel like a form. I know I'm
That's fire. I actually think, to me, that's probably one of my favorite, like, I mean, that, if I was to say, like, of all the Percee P stuff I've heard, that's probably, like, in my opinion, is, like, best verse, or one of his best verses. You know what I'm saying? I can't say I know a lot about Percee P. I've tried to listen to his stuff, and Percee P, to me, is Kool G Rap with an even bigger problem, because vocally, Percee P is not that great. So, again, this is my whole point, right? You look at someone like Kool G Rap. Now, Kool G Rap has better rhymes than Percee P. I'm going to say that, too, right? And it's more, you know, it was sort of like a precursor to Percee P. But again, my issue, and I don't want to knock Percee P as an artist necessarily, but I am going to say that, like, the beats, like I've tried to listen to Percee P's music, the beats are not there for me, okay? He has one or two, like, as the one song, Put It On The Line, I think, was that a Madlib record from back in the day? I mean, we didn't really play this. I remember hearing it once or twice.
Hey, it's a cold world. I kick raps that change your whole mood, and somehow get to your ribs. Like
this was but my point is, look, you need beats. This is why I stress beats. You need beats, and then you need a voice that's commanding and addictive, and you just want to listen to it all the time. And Percee P, in my opinion, his vocals are not that great. He sounds dry, and the truth is, no one wants to hear dry rhymes. Okay, they might tolerate that with Eminem because he is white and he's making alternative rock. So in a way, he's still making music that they want to hear. Okay, right? But the average person, the average hip hop head, that's not a white person, right? That like loves hip hop is not listening to Eminem, right? Let's just be honest here, right? But again, there's an audience. You have to remember that 70% of the American population is white, and that's a lot of people. Right, so you're talking about many millions, right? Hundreds of millions of white folk who may purchase rap if they decide to, and so they gravitate to Eminem. So it's not a shocker that Eminem is probably the highest selling rap album or rap artist, or one of them ever. Like, how's that shocking to anybody, right? But again, the point is this: like, those people who like Eminem don't dig and find who Percee P is. They're not listening to Percee P. They're not listening to Kool G Rap. They listen to Eminem. They're in the Eminem bubble. And then when Kendrick comes along, okay, because Eminem and Dr. Dre or 50 comes along, then they hop onto that, right? I mean, this stuff is pretty basic. It's pretty straightforward. So I would say that, long story short, old folk stop lying. Lyrics matter. I would say that where lyrics matter is in the longevity of a song. So let me put it this way. The beat and the vocals and the overall, like, is this a good song that I can listen to musically? That's what obviously lasts, and that's really what we love, and that's what hits us, and that's what really, really lasts. But if you happen to say great shit on top of that, then of course it's like an additional, like, it can really sort of obviously put your record to a whole nother level. But the truth of the matter is that the meat and potatoes of it has to be the beat and the vocal presence and just the overall, like, you know, does it have a chorus or something? Like, do I feel like listening to this? Does it have replay value? Does it feel like something I just always want to play? That's how you make great music. And that stuff will usually sell, in my honest opinion. And even if it doesn't sell right away, in the long run, people will absolutely get back to it and go, oh, that shit was hot, right? Because it lasts. I mean, replay value is what lasts. Obviously, when people started discovering Nas in the early 2000s, like to a certain extent, like I was saying, even I was kind of victim of that. The reason for that is because Illmatic lasted, and it's the best music he's ever recorded, all things considered, in one project. In fact, what's interesting about Stoute's comment is that had Nas continued to do It Was Written over and over again, in my honest opinion, Nas would have fallen the fuck off and may have not made it out of the 90s, right? And that's the flip side of it. Obviously, we saw that with I Am and even Nostradamus. It was just more and more of that, like, sort of watered down Nas, right? And it wasn't until Jay-Z put a shock and was like, yo, you're almost out of here, B, that Nas kind of went back to that Illmatic shit, right? Like, let's be honest here, that's actually really what happened. But by then, enough people were kind of listening to a certain extent, and that has kept Nas relevant, really, for his entire career. So, yes, you have to know your audience. Different audiences like different things, right? But overall, I would argue that most hip-hop heads, if you want to impress people, you got to make music, okay? You got to make stuff that just people go, oh, that's cool. And I'm not talking about making it pop. I'm just saying, you know, try to make a beat that's engaging, right? Because the truth of the matter is, if your shit's engaging and lyrical, like, even the casual might hear it and go, oh, I kind of like that. Especially if there's some buzz around it. You know what I'm saying? I think I might have said this on the channel. Like, my mom doesn't listen to rap at all. You know what I'm saying? Years ago, I remember I was playing Unbelievable one time. My mom was like, laughing, Beth. You know what I mean? Like, she's a black woman, right? Just the beat is hard, right? Like, we know that, right? And just the whole vibe of it, she was like this. My mom will never listen to rap a day in her life. You know what I'm saying? Right? But again, certain things, right? You play even, well, I love this record. One day a nigga here, next day he gone. Yo, one never knows, do one. Right? This was like very, very underground, right?
One day a nigga here, next day he gone, yo. One never knows, do one. Them singing the same song, yo.
Oh my God.
Never knows. In my darkest days, lighting up the righteous smoke. Cause I'm dealing with this thug life crisis and can't call niggas on my dick. Beef don't stop. Niggas asking what happened to the firm. Did you and AZ Bone Fox know?
Now, this song, again, hanging out with my father years ago, and I was playing this record where I was driving him somewhere, and he was like, who is this? I'm like, oh, it's the guy Nas. He was like, this guy can rap. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, great rap speaks for itself. But again, why is that song dope? That song is dope because the beat is fire. Okay, this is probably arguably the best beat that I think Alchemist ever gave Nas. The beat is fire. Okay? The vocals are fire. Nas sounds incredible, like lyrically. I mean, vocally. And then, of course, the chorus is cool. And then, of course, yes, at the very end, you're like, lyrically, what they're saying is really interesting, blah, blah. But the point is, you have to learn to make music. And this is where Nas has succeeded, where I would argue that others have failed. Okay? But again, the hardest thing to do is to make music with replay value. That is the hardest thing, period. Anybody, not everybody, but most people can make some shit that's cool for right now. Okay? Where there's a couple lyrics, you write some shit down, lyrically, you go, oh, but can you make it stick? Can you write something, create a song that 20 years from now, I'm going to be like, yo, that beat was something else. Yo, that shit was fire. I love listening to it. I still love it. It just hit me, hit me in my soul. Most people can't do that. Okay? And that, in my opinion, is kind of the problem that some Kool G Rap records have fallen into. Not all of them, because Kool G Rap obviously does have classic songs. But yes, at the end of the day, you have to make music that lasts. And Stoute also raises a good point that I think he didn't really touch on, is that part of the challenge of making classic shit and waiting for people to catch up is, well, while you wait for people to catch up, what the fuck are you going to put in your fridge? How are you going to make them enough money to take care of your regular bills? Right? This is also the problem. This is why if you are a hip-hop head and you don't purchase music you don't support, it's a problem. Right? Now, I'm of the opinion that if you make great music, regardless, it's probably going to sell, period, right? Like, Mad Villainy sold, actually. It sold quite well, right, at that time. Again, it's not on Billboard. Like, actually, I think it did actually hit Billboard in terms of sales. But, again, on an underground side, side of things. But my point is that, yes, this is part of also the difficulty is that while you work for something in the long term, you do have to eat and pay bills in the short term. So what do you do, right? And hopefully, if you make great music now, at least enough people can cop it and support it so that you can continue to have your long-term plan, right? Anyway, long story short, Stoute is mostly correct. But I also think that if you go too far into the Stoute land, you're going to fall off and become irrelevant. And I think to a certain degree, that's what Freddie Fox was kind of getting at, where he was just like, I don't even understand, like, where this guy's coming from. You know, and it's like, money, money, money. You know, like, you can't do that too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be an artist at the end of the day. Because when you make music that lasts, that has replay value, you will see a lot of money in the long run. All right, and on that note, I say peace.